I want to try to see some new species to me, like maybe some new plants or some new reptiles. So I'm going to try to drive further up that way. Hopefully my car can handle it, but I'd like to get a little bit more into the canyon and into the rocks and at least explore that zone before it gets too hot. Once it gets too hot, I'm gonna drive into the nearest town and try to find like a library or a coffee shop or something where I can spend a couple of hours during the middle of the day, maybe use a clean bathroom, and then come back out when it starts cooling off again and go to a deeper spot. So I'm gonna do a little reconnaissance right now, maybe some nature journaling from my car. Right now, you're jumping into part 2 of a 3-part series of me trying to nature journal alone in the desert. I'm in Anza Borrego State Park. It's a desert in southeastern California. I'm looking for reptiles, cool plants, any kind of animals, and I'm dealing with the challenges of the daily heat. I feel like my eyes are burning. This is in the most biodiverse county in the US, so there could be cool animals, birds, or plants just around the corner. If you haven't seen it already, check out episode 1. Click on the link up here. Okay, this is awesome. I just saw a bird, and I believe that I've seen these before, so it's not a brand new bird to me, but I feel proud of myself for identifying a sparrow. I usually just give up on sparrows and finches, but I just saw the black-throated sparrow. Feel very confident in that identification. The habitat matches, the range map matches. A cool little bird. I could just add it into like a bird list, or I could try doing a little sketch of it. Oh, there it is right there. It's in the cactus. I was about to just drive away instead of adding it to my nature journal, but instead I pushed myself, and you can see here this teeny little entry here, a cartoonish drawing of the bird and an even more cartoonish drawing of it on a cactus with a couple of sentences. Really low bar nature journaling here. How many times have I passed up opportunities like that? Just looked at it, maybe came up with an excuse why I wouldn't add it into my nature journal. Maybe there was too much friction. My nature journal was packed too far away instead of right next to me in the passenger seat. How many times have I passed up those opportunities, and how many times have you? So these are the kind of really low bar nature journal entries that we should be doing more of. And if you do it, it's going to be more valuable than if you just pass it up and look at it. You're not going to remember, at the end of the day that much. You're not going to remember for sure at the end of the week or the end of the year. So getting this down on paper is going to deepen the experience. You're going to feel better. Just getting a little thing like that down is going to give you a little hit of dopamine for actually doing it. And then when you look back, you're going to have something in your journal to remind you of that time. You're going to remember the bird way better. I'm proud of myself for looking up a sparrow. I'm usually really bad with sparrows and finches. The sand is starting to get a little bit deeper on this road, but my goal is to get further up there. I want to get further up there and just see a little bit more biodiversity, push myself to explore a little bit more, and try to get some new stuff on my nature journal pages. But if this sand gets deeper, I'm going to have to turn around because my car can't handle too deep of sand. I also have really low clearance on this car, so if there's any big ruts or sort of washes, I'm going to have to turn around. There's a fork in the road here, and so I'm not totally sure which way I should go, but I think I'm gonna go this way. It says restricted area, so it looks like this is gonna get me over to the rocky area sooner. I'm already noticing the cholla cactus kind of looks better in this area, or maybe that's just my imagination and confirmation bias, but I'm gonna go this way. State park boundary, what does that mean? I'm gonna go this way and see if I can get up closer to some of these hills and mountains. All right, cool, check this out. There's more of those black-chinned sparrows. Maybe I can even get them on camera. So it looks like there could be a juvenile begging thing going on here with these sparrows. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer without scaring them away. There could be younger ones begging for food from their parents. Fledglings, they're kind of almost full-sized, but still dependent on their parents for food at this stage. It's making some sounds that remind me of juvenile begging. See them on the ground there in front of the Ocotillo? I am so glad I decided to move and to explore further because I think I'm getting into much better habitat up here. It seems like the plants are doing better. There's more diversity. I'm seeing agaves. Look at these agaves growing right here. I even just saw one that still had fresh flowers on it, but that is a lot of habitat for animals too, plus just cool in its own right. I could totally nature journal these agaves. They'd be really fun to draw. Look at that shape on them. Would be really fun to draw. Also, just my likelihood of finding some unusual reptiles and stuff up in here is increasing. I'm seeing rocks, a lot more rocks now, and a few more birds. I saw some more jackrabbits, and I think that this, I could have just stayed and nature journaled where I was and found interesting things, and there's a balance to that, but I'm really glad that I decided to explore further. So long as I can turn around up here and don't get stuck in the sand or something, then this was a great idea. Wow, look, there's even awesome views from up here. Yes. So nature journaling is supposed to make you better at noticing things. One thing that hopefully you'll notice if you're in the desert is when the road is in a wash. So this is a drainage, and a lot of times paths and roads end up being in the same path or road that water uses. It's convenient for animals and humans a lot of times to follow those same places, especially in the desert. But what you want to be really careful of is if you're here at all during a time when there could be rain, you need to remember that this is not a guaranteed road during that time. As soon as it starts raining, or even if you see rain clouds up there on the other side of the hill, you need to start considering this road, impermanent, because this could quickly become a flash flood spot or even a debris flow spot. Things like that in the desert happen really quickly, so you need to be prepared for that and never camp out down in a spot like this. So I don't think we're in monsoon season yet, and I don't know if this part of Anza Borrego even gets a monsoon, but if I were here at a time of year when I knew there could be rain, I would be very, very cautious about this road. Here's some video of a flash flood that cut off the road and almost trapped my friend Adam in Utah a couple years ago. Luckily, he had enough situational awareness to get out of the area before this road was cut off completely by this flash flood that is full of dirt and rocks and logs and all kinds of stuff. Check out all these rocks in this area, and you know what rocks mean. Rocks mean reptiles, and also probably scorpions. There's probably tons of scorpions, and now I think I'm regretting I don't think I brought my black light for finding scorpions. But look at all these rocks. Tonight, exploring in this area, oh, I think I just saw a different type of cactus too. Exploring in this area at night, I think I'm gonna have some better chances of finding reptiles. All right, so I drove about as far up the wash as I want to for right now, and I just sort of stopped at a place where I could pull my car to the side a little bit and set up in the shade that is existing for my car right now. And I want to share something with you right now. It's kind of conceptual, and probably conceptual enough that if you're not one of my hardcore fans, you probably will bounce from the video right now. But for my hardcore fans that stay, this is a conceptual thing that I really do think can give you superpowers. And what it is what I just noticed since I've been here at this spot. I've only been sitting here for like 10 minutes. I ate some granola, and I saw like almost 10 of the tarantula wasps all fly past, going in the same direction. I started wondering about that while I was eating my granola, and then I noticed a bunch of bird sounds and saw a bunch of birds, and there's a plant up there. I'm not sure what it is, but it looks like it's in flower, and on that plant, I saw like 6 birds, at least 2 different species of birds, maybe 3, all in this really small plant up there. And then I noticed that there was a ton, and maybe they're still there, a ton of tarantula wasps flying around that plant. So, oh my God, I'm gonna have to go up there. It's like the mother lode of tarantula wasp, but I also don't want to like disturb the area. But the conceptual thing that I wanted to say is that a lot of times people think that, you know, randomness is like spread out, or that, like, you know, in a wild area animals and plants might be spread out in a relatively even way, but it's not. It conforms to this concept called the 80-20 principle, and it might be 80%, 20%, or it might be slightly different. But the idea is that in a landscape like this, for example, 80% of the animals are probably in 20% of the space, or it might even be more extreme, like 90% of the animals are in 10% of the space. So nature journaling is amazing for us to be able to appreciate, like, you know, the 10% of the animals that are in the rest of the space. Or, you know, you can nature journal this gravel right here and probably find some amazing things about it, because nature journaling helps you see with new eyes. It helps you recognize the wonder everywhere. However, there are times when it's good for you to know how to find those 10% or 20% of places on the landscape that hold 80 or 90% of the animals. Because the truth is, as humans, we are motivated by biodiversity, and biodiversity is medicinal for us. It makes us feel good. It is intellectually stimulating for a nature journaler to be in a more biodiverse place. And for someone who likes to spend time in nature and likes to learn about nature, you should know how to find the places where there are more animals, those 10% of places where 90% of the animals could be. So what you need to do sometimes is explore outside of your comfort zone, and don't just stop and nature journal in the first place, but maybe go a little bit further. Oh, there went another tarantula hawk in the same direction. So learning how to look for those places where there will be more animals and make those kind of predictions is super important thing to learn how to do. And even just knowing, here comes a bird. Oh yeah, that's definitely another species. So that's at least 3 species on that one bush. You know, just at least knowing this idea that probably, oh, okay, tarantula hawk flying in the opposite direction this time. Just knowing that probably around 90% or 80% of the animals or plants too are going to be in 10% of the space. So there's hot spots where you need to look for those hot spots. Sometimes that might be, there might be a place where you don't want to go because it's a hot spot, because you don't want to disturb things. But I think knowing when and when not to is important. It depends on the sensitivity of the habitat, the species in question, how influenced they are by humans, stuff like that. So anyways, 80-20 principle is a super cool concept. It's a super powerful concept that applies to a lot of things, including nature. And I just want to share it with you right now because this bush up here made me think about it. So in addition to seeing all of those birds and wasps, I also am seeing more plant species up here. So this, I don't know exactly the species, I probably should, but what I do know is the family. I think I hear a wren. Oh, oh, oh. Come on, are you a wren? Are you a cactus wren? Where are you gonna land? Are you gonna land on that bush where all the... Don't have good visual on it. Oh, there it goes, there it goes. Longish tail. Tail seems kind of long for a wren. The sound that it made reminded me of a wren, and it just went to that bush where all the birds are going. But I was talking about plants, so I've noticed more plant types up here, and what I notice here is a plant with, it's a shrub or tree. It has compound leaves, so they're pinnate leaves, which means that there's multiple leaflets per leaf. So you can see here, it's kind of hard to get a focus on it, but each one of these leaves has multiple leaves coming out on the sides, and I can see the beginnings of an inflorescence here. So what I know is that this is in the bean superfamily, and probably, oh look, it's been pruned by someone here. That's very interesting. This is probably in the Mimosoideae tribe or subfamily of the bean family. So, oh, here we go. Here are some that are opening. Look at these right here, opening fuzzy flowers. So like mimosas, not the drinks that you get drunk on for breakfast, but mimosa, the flower. Oh, and there's even like an ocotillo or something with a red flower hiding inside of here. No, it's like something else. It reminds me of that thing from Baja. But this is a hook spine tree. There's tons of this stuff. If you've seen any of my Hadzabe videos in Tanzania, there's tons of this stuff there, and I was just constantly getting hooked on these. But it could be a nitrogen fixing tree. Probably produces a lot of great pollen. Bees probably love it. Look at this here. See that one flowering right there? Classic Mimosaceae right there. Or Mimosoideae, I'm not totally sure. And look, here's that other plant. Oh my gosh. It looks just like that thing in Baja, and it's hiding in here underneath this legume tree. I can see the leaves right here. It looks like it's mostly done flowering, but look at those leaves. Are they opposite? They are opposite. And it had like a few flowers, and there's some on the ground. Look at this. Definitely a hummingbird type of flower, and this looks just like one that I saw in Baja. Super cool growing in here. I wonder if it's getting any nitrogen from a lot of things in this family fix nitrogen. So really cool. Already seeing a lot more biodiversity up here in this area. So I'm gonna explore, and I'm gonna try to get some stuff on my pages before it gets too hot. One thing, I think I'm gonna close the doors on my car. Oh my God. Oh, the tarantula hawk almost flew into my car. It wants to come home with me. So I'm gonna close my car because I just saw a type of squirrel, like an antelope squirrel, I think it is, that sometimes those are get a little bit used to humans and will climb in your car and eat your food. So I'm gonna close my windows, even though it'll probably get super hot in there. Okay, so I'm scoping it out from a distance, and it looks like the bush that I saw that had all of the birds and the wasps on it. It looks like that bush is one of those trees that I was just looking at. So a legume, maybe it's like a, it could be like a mesquite. Mesquite is in this family. It's the Mimosoideae, I think, is the tribe or subfamily. And there's one up here that's flowering even more than that one that I just looked at and showed you. So that's where all of these wasps are going to. And I scoped it out from a distance it seems like most of the birds are gone. I could just sit here a ways away and watch it. I'm seeing that there's more of those around, so I'm a little bit less worried about disturbing the birds. I don't think this is gonna be like a super negative impact on any of these organisms. Oh my gosh, there's like a really cool euphorbia growing down here. I wonder if that's a native spurge. Looks like a spurge. So I'm gonna go a little bit closer, see if I can nature journal some of the wasps and pollinators that come to this thing, because I don't know, for example, the tarantula wasp, if the adult stage feeds, what do they feed on? Because the adults don't eat tarantulas. The tarantulas, I think, are just for the larval stage. Bouncing on boulders. Okay, all right, let's check this out. All right, so the strategy I'm going to try right now is kind of like a pollinator or flower associate collection. I'm going to sit next to this plant, and I notice it smells good too. And I'm just going to try to draw and count or describe as many of the different organisms that I see coming to the flowers as possible. I'll include birds. I'll include anything that lands on here. I don't know what is actually doing pollination services for the plant or not. It actually smells good too. But I'll just draw and record. I'm seeing Apis mellifera, honeybees. I am seeing some Lepidoptera, some butterflies, maybe some Diptera, true flies. Oh, there's another. It's looking pretty diverse. I think I've got at least 10 different species already. I can also, if the the animals are moving too fast. Oftentimes, flower visiting animals move fast. If they're moving too fast, what I can do is draw the plant. Oh, I'm really excited. I'm seeing a lot of cool stuff, and I'm gonna do this for as long as I can until I start getting too hot from the sun. What the pepsis, what the tarantula wasps were doing here, I thought they were coming to feed, but I saw so few landing to feed. Oh my God. Okay, now I think I know what's going on. I think they are breeding on these flowers. So I just noticed them kind of grappling, it seemed like. Several of them all together. Look. Okay. There's some of them are smaller than others. And I'm guessing that the large ones are the females and those smaller ones are males. And one of the main things they're doing on these flowers is breeding, even though I see more of them doing what looks like feeding on these flowers than on the plant, where I was just out on one plant over there, and over here there's way more of them. Look at that. There's 3 right there. One flying around, 2. So we're at 5 right now. Look at these things. Oh my gosh, this is like tarantula wasp heaven, or should I say Marley heaven. Look at that. Oh my gosh, look how big that one is right there. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, that is the biggest tarantula wasp I think I've ever seen. It is definitely feeding. Look at how those antennae are curled back. Oh my gosh, yes, what a beautiful, look at the iridescence on it. Oh my gosh. That is big. Tarantula wasp right there. Wow. That is so cool. I have never seen it. Oh my gosh, look at that. It's only 9 o'clock, but it's gotten pretty hot already. I just took a break after looking at that amazing tarantula wasp breeding ground. I took a little break in the shade with my car. There's still shade because the sun is at an angle. In a couple hours, I think it's going to be really hard to find shade out here, and I'm going to have to call it quits probably. And I'm going to try to, I need to try to drink my electrolytes soon, because I'm going to have another day to go tomorrow at least. And I don't want that to be like a recovery day where I'm just recovering from sunburn and dehydration. So I'm just going to do a little bit of more exploring now and call it quits kind of early. Look at how awesome the barrel cactus is up there. I saw a hummingbird coming to that flower that I said looked like a hummingbird flower, similar to the one I saw in Baja. So I'm just going to walk up this wash, do a little bit of exploring. That way I have a better idea when I come out here tonight what I'm going to look at. All right, check it out. This ocotillo still has leaves on it. Remember how I was talking about earlier, the ocotillo put out leaves adventitiously? I guess the term would be opportunistically, when there is water availability, and then they ditch them when they're not worth it for their water budget, because leaves require transpiration. Wow, look at the red color on this sort of more recent shoot. What a cool plant. And this one still has some leaves on it and some fresher flowers up there as well. You can see the flowers on the ground down here. One of the things that I want to look for is rattlesnakes. If I could see a couple rattlesnakes, I would be super content and grateful. I would love to get an opportunity to nature journal a rattlesnake. I have been able to nature journal them in the past. 2 different species. It'd be really cool to nature journal a new species or one of the ones that I've seen before. And so I'm kind of looking. There's a lot of squirrels in this area, so it seems like there could be rattlesnakes as well. So I just noticed this small flowering plant growing here in the wash, and there's several of them, easily overlooked, but this is probably the kind of thing, they remind me of an annual plant, a plant that comes up from seeds, produces more seeds, or tries to produce more seeds, and then dies, and then comes back again another year from seeds. It reminds me of an annual, not sure if it is for sure. And this is probably the kind of thing that when they get a lot of rain here, that can cause these would be the kind of thing that would contribute to a super bloom. A lot of times the sort of so-called super bloom effect is from annual plants that can respond to those increased rains. I'm sure the ocotillo and the cacti and stuff also flower more, but that's my guess about this. And this is also the wash where there's no cars allowed driving up here, which is good. Maybe they made that rule because of these plants, or maybe these plants are here because of that rule. All right, so I really like the look of that right there. That to me looks like a big reptile poop right there. Let's take a closer look. It looks like, see how it could be a bird, but see how the uric acid part, they get rid of urea from the body in a different way than humans do. Their nitrogen byproducts are disposed of. Birds and reptiles dispose of it in a way that saves so much water. As mammals, we waste a lot of water. Most mammals waste a lot of water getting rid of their nitrogen waste, but these birds and reptiles don't waste as much because of this way that they get rid of it with this white, chalky uric acid. This, to me, looks like it's full of bug parts. I'm hoping this is from like a very large lizard. It could be from a bird, but it looks more lizard-like to me. I've never seen a lizard poop that big before, except for from like iguanas or something. So I'm hoping there is some species of lizard out here that I don't know yet, and I would love to see it. All right, so I just found another one of those poops. Look at that right there. There's not as much of the uric acid part. I think that white bit is the uric acid. But that, to me, it looks like there's a rock in there. There's definitely a rock in there. Whoops. It looks like there's plant matter in there. Hopefully that wasn't just a squirrel poop that I touched, because I'd rather not touch mammal poop. Reptile poop I'm not as worried about. But I'm not sure anymore if that's the same kind of poop. But if it is, maybe my chances are increasing of finding there's chuckwallas, I guess, that could potentially be here. I think that might be like the biggest lizard in California. Is that right? And then there could be desert iguanas, I think, could be here. And there's probably a few other species of lizard that could be here that are on the list that I've never seen or nature journaled before. I would love to see one. I'm also starting to be less certain about the species of hummingbird that I've been seeing here, because superficially it reminded me of a female Anna's hummingbird, which is sort of the most common hummingbird that I see in California. But the way it flies around is a little bit different, and one just flew up close to me and spread its tail feathers in an interesting way that does not remind me of the Anna's hummingbird. And as I come up this wash, it seems like there's more of these plants that they like that are still in flower. I don't know if you can see that one. Its flight seems slower than the Anna's and kind of more hovery. Oh, here's another plant that I haven't seen yet. This looks like a new plant. Coming up this wash, seeing some new stuff. Fingers crossed for some reptiles. Will I see any new lizard species before I have to retreat to an air-conditioned public library in the nearest town? We're about to find out.